Hello again, guys. This is ATFS Says. I'm getting ready to further demonstrate or examine the video that we took demonstrating the P sub S chart in this Dogfight series speed kills. So we're trying to make sure that we are actually using the jet in the way the jet was designed to be flown. So we want to make sure that are we flying the jet within its parameters and within its capabilities. So what I'm going to do today is, let's just set up some stuff here. This is name. We're going to do airspeed. We're going to do altitude. Yeah, we're going to do altitude so we can see if we're climbing or descending. We're going to do turn rate and turn radius. We're also going to put on the wing trails, which will show us the circle so we get a visual idea of what the jet is actually doing. Vehicle magnification I'll do to about 4, just so we could actually see the jet and it's not just a dot on the screen. Okay, so at this point I'm just gonna play the video and we'll examine it as we go. So remember, the first thing we did was pull back on the stick the entire way. So we're gonna get to that circle first. So let's see once we started to turn with a full stick deflection and see how the jet performed. So here's the jet turning. Zoom out a bit so we could get a good idea of this. So we're turning at 13 or 14 degrees, which is expected, but as you can see, our speed was dropping and our altitude was also dropping. So P sub S said that we should have been able to maintain both our turning rate and our turning radius. Okay. Our turning radius, however, is really small. It's about 2,000 feet turning radius, and we're roughly maintaining, for the most part, 9 to 10 degrees per second. And our speed is about 172 knots. So after this video, we're going to go back and examine our P sub S charts again to see if these are in line with specs. So again, we're about 170 knots. We're doing roughly about 9 or 10 degrees per second, and we're turning at somewhere around, what's that, 19, 20 degrees per second at 15,000 feet. Now we kept this up for a while. So we could see that we're roughly at 180 now, 190 knots, roughly somewhere between 10, 11 degrees per second, somewhere between 19 to 2100 feet radius. So once we finished that turn, we went into what I suggested would be the actual turn, where we didn't do a full stick deflection, but we simply just kept our nose around the horizon with an angle of attack less than 15 degrees. And here we are doing it. So here we are at 440 knots. We're turning at 13, 14, 15 degrees per second at a radius of about, let's see, what's that radius? Oh, this is 5,000, 4,000. We were doing it. So it's not very steady right now. So let's see, 376, somewhere about 12 or 13, 12 to 13 degrees per second. 3,000 feet radius. 372, we're at 12 or 13 degrees, which is where we said we should be. I think we should have brought our speed up to about 400 and see what that would look like. So here we are, 385, 390, 400 knots. We're only at 10 degrees per second because we're not pulling. I guess we were trying to adjust our speed there. But in general, we're at 11, 12, 10. 10 wouldn't be a good number for this. So we're at roughly 13, 14 degrees is what we said that we should have been able to maintain without losing any speed. So here we are at 13, 14 degrees per second, somewhere above 400 knots. I think that is the sweet spot right there. 400 knots would keep you at 14 degrees per second. So that was 14 degrees per second at 300 knots. Not flying very steady. We go down to 380 But even at 380, you're holding 12 degrees per second at 380 knots. Steady, a steady 12 degrees per second at 390 knots. 12 degrees per second is a great advantage over someone who's turning at 11 or 12. Here we go, 13 degrees per second, 14 degrees per second. As we get closer to the 400 mark, and as we keep our altitude the same, we get to 13 to 14 degrees per second. These are important differences between someone who's pulling back on the stick consistently. So let's say you're turning at 10 degrees per second as an example. In a 360 degree circle, that will take you roughly 36 seconds to go all the way around. So every second that you're turning, the plane that's doing 13 or 14 degrees is getting 3 degrees of angles on you. So for every 10 seconds, he gets 30 degrees of angles on you. So after 20 seconds, he's done 60 degrees angles on you. After 30 seconds, he's done 90 degree angles on you. That's how fast he's turning on you, as opposed to you turning on him. And that makes all the difference, especially if he could keep his speed constantly at 400 knots while you're pulling on the stick and your speed is down to 200 knots. So let's just quickly review what we've seen here today in this video. At full stick deflection, we've seen the plane average 9 to 10 degrees per second and roughly about 2,000 feet radius, which is what we see here. So roughly 9 degrees per second at around 160, 170 knots, and a circle of around 2,200 square feet, 2,200 feet radius. And at 400 knots, we've seen a radius somewhere around 12 to 13 degrees per second, and a radius of roughly, it should have been 3,500. Let's see what the radius was. I think we were shooting for 3,500, but this one we got I think it was bigger than 35, 36, 35. Yeah, at 14 degrees is about 33, 34, 35. There we go. So we were at 3,700 feet radius, about 12 to 13 degrees at 376. So we're going to examine those stats in the doghouse chart in the next video and see how those stats stack up to what we expected to get. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next video. If you like these videos, please like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for flying with us. This is ATFS SAS from Advanced Tactical Fighter Squadron. Thank you.